Welcome to the show where we discuss the second season of Marvel's premier Netflix miniseries and discern the truth about why this show stands above the rest. The elements of quality storytelling that make other shows that other shows are blind to. But not this show! Join us as we start Discerning Daredevil. Oh God. We need sunglasses, Dragon.
Yeah, I realized two things there. We're gonna fix them in the next episode, folks. But you'll see how we missed two. Bad. I just realized we missed two things in the intro. We're gonna fix next time. We'll be good.
Okay, fair enough.
So, sorry about that, folks. It's been a while, but we're back.
We're back. Yeah, it's been a while since we did the Marvel Netflix stuff. We wrapped up with Jessica Jones, I believe, like in October or September, somewhere around there. So now we are just getting into Daredevil, starting the new year, last bits of January, getting into the new year. Daredevil is going to probably be our main focal point of January with, of course, a couple things I'll probably do on the side here and there. We're going to do our year-end ranking podcast of all the movies of 2016 and all that stuff. But regardless, Dragon, we got 13 episodes of Daredevil to go through from now to February 1st, because you know what February 1st is?
Tell us.
It's the start of Black History Month, and also generally around the time when we'll be aiming to start our Luke Cage retrospective series. We haven't even quite worked out a name.
Sweet
for that
Christmas. Or in this case, sweet 2 days after Christmas. Well, 3 days.
Right. So yeah, all that we're going to kind of build to Luke Cage. I really want to kind of cover all of Luke Cage in February if we can, hopefully. So it's going to be a Marvel-centric couple of months. With, like I said, I'll definitely try and do some more stuff on the side, maybe some theme park vlog, stuff like that. But regardless, let's go through it, Dragon. We're starting with Season 2, Episode 1, Bang. So let's go through the plot.
All right, so I'll break it down for you, folks. Here's essentially what we see in Episode 1 of Season 2. Bang! It takes place about 8 months later, from approximately 8 months since the end of Daredevil Season 1. Daredevil is making a name for himself protecting Hell's Kitchen. Nelson and Murdoch is doing great business-wise, not so great financially. The Irish mob is brutally gunned down, leaving the only survivor, a man by the name of Grotto, who seeks refuge with Nelson Murdoch, so he can turn himself over and get protection. While Matt and Foggy look for answers, Karen and Grotto are pursued by the one-man army who killed the Irish mob. Daredevil saves them by fighting off this man, only to take a shot to his armored head, leading him to fall off the roof. And that's the episode in a nutshell. That's what happens.
All right, so let's get into some arcs. Yeah. Oh, now the camera focuses. You couldn't focus on Carrie Fisher, but you're focusing on... Anyways. All right, Dragon, arcs. Let's start with Matt.
Sure. So, I gotta tell you, rewatching this, because now it's been a while since I've watched. Basically, what we're doing for the show is kind of what we did for Season 1. Basically, I've seen all back when in March, I believe it was in March, because around the time Batman v Superman, it was kind of to their chagrin. This came out. Daredevil Season 2, we all binged it over time in my case, and I watched them all the way through episodes 1 through 13. So it's been some time since I've seen all these all the way through. I've seen clips here and there, but now I'm really breaking down and analyzing some certain things. And one of the things I really loved on rewatching this episode is that I love that it really picks up from the challenge that Wilson Fisk issued to Daredevil at the end of Season 1. It goes a little something like this. It's a really cool bit. It's really interesting. It really kind of sets the stage. It's basically Matt is trying to live up to the Kingpin's challenge by the end of the first season, that great alleyway scene. It goes a little something like this.
You really think one man in a silly little costume will make a difference?
Yeah, think about it. Like by the end of that season, we pick up this very beginning of this episode. is him answering that challenge that Fisk poses to him. Like, you think one man in a silly little costume, can change anything. Which then he is met by a metal baton in the face. But still, he raises a valid point. Like, do you really think you can change things? I mean, you were a vigilant. You and I both tried to save the city in our ways. You won, yes, but you're upgrading your costume. You think that's really going to change anything? And as we see in the beginning, this, which we'll get to a little bit more later on, is that so far we start as with any good, especially season 2. Our hero is like in Spider-Man 2. Like, things are going good for him at the beginning. I mean, well, these things are starting to go good at the beginning. Where the Daredevil is actually making a difference in Hell's Kitchen. He's helping the police. He's stopping crimes left and right. All's going great on his alter ego side of things. However, again,
got a Coke and a smile moment before the credits start rolling.
He does, and we see again all Daredevil is doing great. Matt Murdock, on the other hand, things are like there's a lot of storm clouds a brewing for Matt Murdock here, because Nelson Murdock's really doing, as I mentioned, kind of in the plot. They're getting a lot of customers, but they're doing the classic thing from the comics here, where Nelson Murdock, they do a lot of pro bono work, or they're paid in foods and items.
Like giant stacks of bananas. Like, oh, that's for Donkey Kong. Just set him aside for Donkey Kong. He'll be there later.
Yeah, and doing that. But yeah, you see, it's like things are there's some bad stuff.
Like, it's establishing their reputation in a good way in the legal, in the legal system around the area. So they are getting a lot of clientele, but at the same time, they're looked at as being very charitable. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like a snake eating its own tail in a way. You know what I mean? It's like it's successful, but at the same time, it kind of loops back around on itself. And it's like, well, what can we do? How can we get out of this?
So in a way, on both fronts, it's an interesting thing. Like, on both fronts, Matt Murdock and Daredevil is kind of separating them a little bit. There's that they both have won from the conflict of season, which both revolved around Fisk, one convicting Fisk and one bringing down Fisk, both of which were accomplished. Now, Nelson Murdock is very well known. It's something they play. I love the aftermath, the sense of aftermath in this first episode. Is that yes, they. Is that they're very well known, which is why they have all the business. They're thriving with business, but at the same time, it's like you're getting all this business, but kind of like from the low-income neighborhoods, and it's still kind of like not being able to be paid, which is like they're getting the clients they want, which are good people, the good people of Hell's Kitchen. The problem is that again they're not going to be able to keep the lights on. They literally have to have people bring in fans if they're coming in for consultation. They need. Nelson Murdock's in really bad shape in the beginning of this season. I love the heat wave. It's like we're putting our heroes in the most uncomfortable positions, and like our hero is doing great, but the people we care about, they're doing really lousy.
Yeah, you're right. It's very much a Spider-Man 2 type situation.
Yeah.
That's a really, I never even thought about it that way.
It's like the beginning of Spider-Man 2, like the pizza, Peter Parker, the pizza boy, is doing terrible, but...
Cool!
Yeah. And of course, like with any kind of classic storytelling, the minute everything is going good for someone, Daredevil, or again, relationship-wise, again, business-wise, things...
I'm just saying Bates Motel is a classic example of that.
Yeah, that's more like kind of that happiness, kind of like I think Plinkett now would call it the happiness triangle, but for us, it's always been the happiness seesaw.
Yeah.
But
come play with me on the seesaw, Norman.
Don't. Okay, but seriously, again,
I'm at the bottom, and I'm so sad.
Okay, don't.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, seriously though. So again, business-wise, things aren't going well. However, we should mention a good thing that's going on for Matt Murdock is the whole, some relationship with. Basically, it's not really starting here, but it's limited. You can see their attraction starting to build between Matt and Karen.
Yeah. So, do you want to jump to Karen then?
In 1 second, I just want to mention one more thing before we get to that. Sorry. So basically, I'm saying that's all the good stuff adding. So again, the minute something good is happening for Matt, either on the Daredevil front or on the whole Karen Page front, the moment he has things under control, he thinks a lot of chaos is looming over his head in Hell's Kitchen with this unknown entity targeting the Irish mob, and he doesn't know what to expect, because again, it's like kind of like there's like a new force in Hell's Kitchen just kind of coming out of the shadows, and we find out by the end why it's coming up out of the shadows. It's it's a singular entity versus like a whole faction.
Right.
Which, in a way, let's just say is fun foreshadowing for some stuff later on in the season, just kind of unknown entities coming out of the shadows.
Yeah, that's not one of my favorite elements of this season, but you're right. It's decent foreshadowing on that spot. So,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do all the talking. Anything to say on Matt's kind of progression this episode?
Matt, I mean, no, you pretty much summed it up. Like you said, it's very Spider-Man 2. But I do like how it's, he's got the public recognition and he likes it. But at the same time, the walls are kind of closing in for the Kingpin thing, like you pointed out, and it's getting really like there's bloodbaths happening in the street. There's supposed armies of people, which of course, as we find out later on, is just going to be one man. But
yeah,
it's like the stakes. It just feels like even though Daredevil is really well respected now, the stakes in Hell's Kitchen are even higher than they were when Wilson Fisk was the big bad.
It's kind of the one step forward, two steps back. One step forward, okay, we got the Kingpin off the streets. 2 steps back, okay, well, now there's a power vacuum, and also we got more business than we know what to do with that's not paying us.
Yeah, and of course you have to consider Matt balancing his personal relationships and the time it is, it is job, and of course, again, very Spider-Man 2-esque. But all right, so I think we should get into Karen.
Yeah, sure. So. With Karen, Karen, I love that she's so in control. I love where we start off with Karen Page this season. I think it's a great place to start off because she's still really strong character. She's taken the experiences from season 1, she was like held at gunpoint by Wesley, and she killed Wesley essentially. So she did a huge thing in season 1.
That was kind of like almost, you could say, her Breaking Bad moment.
Yeah, and I was going to make a comparison to what exact moment that was definitely kind of akin to, but let's not. That point is
sure.
But the point is, I love how in control Karen is because when Foggy and Matt they walk into work, which again I love kind of the grounded like well, they walk to work. That's how you get our kind of our character, like we're reaffirming the character dynamic between Foggy and Matt on their way to work. Mm-hmm. So when they walk in the door, we see a whole bunch of clients. It's a great way of kind of reestablishing our main dynamics of the show. And then we see Karen, who's run pretty much. She's not only a secretary, she's an unofficial partner of Nelson Murdoch. It should be Nelson Murdoch and Page.
It really should be. It really should be. Yeah.
Honestly, she's kind of in the beginning here. Bear in mind, I really have to reanalyze each episode as a case by case basis, see how firm this is going forward. But it's kind of like she's in a kind of a Kim Wexler position at the beginning of this, where man, she's really taking care of business at the office. Again, she's the unofficial partner, where she's managing everything. She knows all the cases left and right.
Oh, you know what it's like? It's so like when Kim kind of starts helping Jimmy when they get the business together in the late half of Better Call Saul season 2.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like she's really taking care of business at the office.
Like holding the fort.
Yeah, honestly, I get a feeling that if Karen left the business, they would be completely sunken. They'd just be in even deeper trouble than they're in right now. And again, she's the one kind of spelling out, guys. We have no money left, so we're really in a financial crisis here. I don't mean to keep hammering that. I'm just saying it's kind of like a big looming thing that's going to be a part of the season of like Nelson Murdoch kind of and financially not being in the best of shape.
Of course. Let's see. With Karen, Dragon, I got to say, there's some scenes between Matt and Karen that I really like. One of them is this episode with the pool hall scene.
Yeah. Like I don't think we're getting any subjective territory in this one yet.
No, but I really like how it naturally evolves, and of course, Matt is kind of he's kind of playing it a little bit. He's kind of smooth with perhaps he didn't need as much help as he was letting on, as it's revealed at the end. So I like
Murdoch, the ladies' man.
Oh yeah.
I love the Marvel ladies' man characters we have. Just like including Deadpool in the mix. Just like the characters are really charismatic and good with the women. You got
Doctor Strange.
Yes, you got Doctor Strange, you got Daredevil, you got Deadpool, you got Tony Stark, you got a bunch of characters you're really kind of good with the ladies.
Thor could probably be lumped in that mix.
Technically Bruce Banner. With you got probably the most desirable woman in the MCU.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's okay. Yeah, you're right. Can't fault him for that. Anyways, so. Yeah, Dragon, I got to say, like, the overall Karen and Matt thing is a mixed bag for me as we go through the season. Who knows? Maybe I'll like it better on a rewatch. I think probably towards the middle of the season is when it starts to drag for me.
Again, I really got to see how it holds up rewatching it, too, so we'll see.
Sure. Let's see. Anything else about Karen?
Well, let's see. A big thing I kind of noticed with both Karen and Foggy, so we'll get to Foggy next. But something knows that's in common that they both have in common that they've both been shaped not only by the experiences of season 1, but by Daredevil in some form of that thing about it. She's in the thick of the action later on with Grotto. And it's very based on, like, she went through these action-packed experiences when Daredevil saved her life a few times in season 1, so she knows what she's doing not only in the Nelson Murdoch setting but also out there. So she's very much, she's grown as a character, and she's very much influenced by Daredevil, the Man in the Mask from season 1.
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting how both her and Foggy kind of have these coming out like, okay, we are in the thick of the action in much the same way that Matt probably would be.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's talk about the Fogman himself.
Yeah.
Mr. Foghorn Leghorn. I don't know.
It'd be hilarious if they use that one.
I'm just coming up with random nicknames at this point.
I don't think it's going to be as good as the Molt.
Oh, God, the Molt. Oh, God.
That's an obscure Leonard Molt reference to the folks out there.
Like me and Dragon off-air reference.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Fogster, the Fogman.
Yes. Of course, the great and powerful Foggy Nelson, who, aside from his love of rhubarb pie, is very well known for this super iconic line. Maybe not as iconic. Not as iconic as this line, of course. But it's a good second. So I'm at Foggy. So I think Foggy, in terms of, we'll get into their dynamic a little more when we get to dynamics in a second here.
Sure.
I guess since Foggy's reached sort of a half acceptance, tell me what you think about this, Tiki. I think Foggy's reached a half acceptance of Daredevil. He's no longer kind of questioning if Daredevil's actually a good thing for Hell's Kitchen. He knows he's a good thing for Hell's Kitchen. He just really doesn't want his friend to be in danger.
The one thing that he's not fine with, I think he's even kind of grown beyond, not like he still cares for Matt, but he's kind of grown to accept that Matt has to put his life at risk. The one thing that he's not fine with, I think, is the whole lying to Karen thing, and Karen being in the dark about that, which is going to be kind of a prevalent theme as we go through the at least the first half of the season.
Yeah, it's the secrecy, and it's kind of the secrecy as well as the friend being in danger. But it's like he's okay with it. Yeah, he's kind of gotten past the whole like you're doing these amazing things that kind of violate kind of what we do as lawyers. He realized, okay, well, what he does is very useful, and he did convict Fisk in the end. So he did a lot of good stuff. He got justice for our poor departed friend, Miss Cardenas.
God, Senor Foggy.
Senor, oh, that poor woman. Anyway, sorry, we're mourning the loss of fictional characters here. Sorry. Let's see. So again, it's more. I think it's more of a fear of losing Matt than fear of him getting hurt in a way. Does that make any sense? It's more a feel. He knows Matt he can kind of take a lot of pain and he can stitch himself up. He's really fear. It's in the dialogue they have on the way to work. It really sounds like he's afraid of like being alone, being without him, like Nelson Murdoch being without Murdoch.
Yeah, that's very true too. And
which will take an interesting direction.
Matt kind of just gives a half-assed answer at that point of like, well, you can just continue to do the great work that we've established.
Yeah. And again, Matt really, you're right about that, Diggy. Matt is really just trying to kind of placate Foggy. He's trying not to think about the long, hard questions here. He's really kind of just, he's kind of deflecting a lot with that.
Certainly.
Okay, last thing I want to mention with Foggy, I'm going to talk about a little more so we get to Dare to be different. But Foggy, again, what I said with Karen is that with Foggy here too is that Daredevil's influence, again, more so he actually knows the guy behind the mask as well. The influence of Daredevil is really rubbing off on Foggy too, and that he shows a lot of courage when facing off, not facing off against, but he has the courage to face the dogs of hell.
Yeah, he definitely has some cojones in that scene.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's got some chutzpah, he's got some chutzpah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And granted, that's not my favorite moment of the episode, but it is up there. It's definitely like a big growth moment for Foggy's character, for sure. And kind of moment to leave him out on for the episode, kind of going into the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, and I love how it's kind of paralleled in the episode too. Of like we do have a great parallel of like these three big plot points. As I kind of put in the plot is that we have both Matt and Foggy doing their individual things to kind of find out the information we need to find out. They're both finding out the same information, but they don't know that.
Sure.
You know, he's finding out Foggy's finding out that okay, there's a new player in town, and then Matt knows okay that new player is one guy.
Yeah, so it's really now going forward, they kind of have to put the pieces together and figure out who that one guy is, and we know who that one guy is because we've been hyped up about it.
And what's so great about that, it's like a great structure. The last time I said about the structure before we move on, so with that structure, is again, it's like Foggy, then Matt. Again, it's like we can't information, Matt, more specific information. The minute we find that more specific information, one man, cut to that one man. Hospital, which we'll get to later. But I'm saying just how great a cut is that too? Of like just it was one man, which it's good. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to some
daring dynamics.
So let's start with Matt and the Fogman.
Matt and the Fogster. All right.
So pretty much is kind of echoing what we said before. Only I'm just gonna maybe play a little bit. Here's the little piece of dialogue showing you kind of their rapport is still intact from season 1 that we liked. They have a great rapport, but now it's more so. The best comparison I have for this, it's kind of like a really down-to-earth version of the Frozen Mr. Incredible dialogue from The Incredibles. Like, they're in the car, they're kind of talking about it's kind of like we both know what you're capable of, sort of thing. It's, there are no secrets. Despite they want. Bear in mind, one of them is not a superhero, but you know what I'm getting at, right? It's like kind of like an all-inclusive friendship. You're like, oh yeah, we used to do all this sorts of crazy stuff, and you're doing all this crazy stuff on the side, and I accept that.
Right.
All right. So let me play a little bit of that here for you. So yeah, there's also there was some great dialogue before that too. Like they're talking about the Foggy's famous dancing.
Wouldn't it be great if Nelson and Murdoch were on the dance floor? Come on.
Yeah. So that shows to me again they're even closer than ever. There was a benefit of the whole Nelson versus Murdoch episode that now he's in on the loop. So now their friendship's
like a whole bottle episode, maybe an eel bottle episode. Yeah. Of just Foggy and Matt just partying it up as bachelors just on the town. That would be amazing.
that would be cool, and it would be a great flashback thing. Because remember, all they need to do for Flash is just give Charlie Cox a shave. Just give him a shave.
You're right.
And no, but seriously, that would be cool seeing a flashback of like the two of them as kind of fun guys having a day on the town back when they were in their dating phase. So they could always go back.
Saying. Yeah.
No, but seriously, see what I mean? Like it's like. After clearing the air like they did last season, they're really closer than ever in a way. So it was kind of a boost for their friendship, but still there is that the issues are still in the air that, hey, you might not come back one of these days, or you might be going to prison. What am I going to do with I don't want to lose you. Right. And also, as you mentioned a little earlier, and there is a little bit of Karen Page in there of like later on, they're in the bar, they're having a good time playing pool. And I just love Foggy. It's not like a bitter thing of like, because Foggy and Karen had a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of like some potential love in the air, but that's kind of the way it goes in the comics. Like Karen just loves both of these guys, and she kind of pulls an Archie on them. It's kind of like
oh god.
Basically, it's like a reverse Archie where Karen has two swell guys.
Who's the Betty and who's the Veronica?
Let's see. Well, I don't know. Foggy's kind of salty. I don't know. Would that make him Veronica?
I think Foggy is more fun-loving than Matt, so that would kind of veer her in more to the Betty side.
Well, I mean,
plus Foggy's blonde and Matt's got the brown hair. So.
you know what? That makes sense. And I mean, like Daredevil's kind of the bad boy, so it's kind of like
right.
bad girl, so it's kind of like Veronica. Okay.
Okay. I thank God we established that.
Okay. Which one did you go for? Which not between Matt and Foggy, but between Betty and Veronica? Which?
I don't know. Probably Betty. Probably Betty.
Okay, that's fair. All right. So let's see. But anyway, so the whole thing of like I like that, especially later on. When they're bar together, I like that Foggy's more like it's less jealousy, it's more dumb fan of like another woman. Because remember at the beginning here we established in that dialogue scene that they're as they're walking to work that Foggy he's pursuing other romantic options. He's dating a girls on the side. So he's moved. He's not connected to Karen, so he's not really jealous, but he's still like, oh my God, Matt, now you're. Karen likes you. Every girl you run into, you make fall in love with you, which is true, which we've seen happen before. He's always flirtatious with the girls.
Of course. Sometimes to a fault, sometimes not to his benefit, as we'll see as the season plays out.
The ladies' man, Matt Murdock. But seriously, again, they're just with that in the air, of Karen Page in the air, that is still kind of worrying Foggy. Like, okay, well now you're getting closer to her. So that means when she finds, he's not saying all this in this episode, but it's intimating that. I think the themes are in the air of like, okay, well, if Karen finds out, or if you keep this secret from Karen, she finds out, it might be explosive, like with me.
Sure.
Right. Anything else you want to continue forward?
Are we on Matt and Karen or Karen and Foggy?
We would be on Matt and Karen. There's not really there's not really Karen and Foggy in this one, so we're kind of.
Yeah, okay, Matt and Karen. I mean, again, we've kind of already been going over it a little bit, so let's just kind of recap.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just I think they're starting to acknowledge the attraction during that pool scene. I love how they shoot that. By the way, I love like the senses are like really kind of fuzzy and really kind of like.
I really love the sound design on the senses.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great in season 1, but I think they've stepped up their game even more in season 2.
Yeah, I love that it's really showing attraction in ways we haven't really seen attraction before. It's like the sense and the it's like you can see the sense almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's really really clever the way they're showing that. He's allowing her to get closer, just to kind of guide him more so she can get closer.
Like a weird hybrid of like the Affleck movie and then season 1, because the Affleck movie had like the more visual representation of the senses.
But yeah, remember this season is kind of ripe for the picking for Affleck comparisons.
That's very true.
Especially, well, as I mentioned, I was going to save this for blinding. It was not blind for Braille Trail, but I'll mention it real quickly. Again, the whole like being kind of bartered with as payment. That we saw that directly in the Affleck movie.
Okay. Cool.
Remember, they were paid in sports gear and stuff. Remember, they were like Nelson Murdock doing a lot of pro bono work and being paid in trades. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about Matt, Foggy, and Brett.
Matt, Foggy, Brett. All right, just Brett's always good for like a one scene kind of like, all right, we need some exposition, we need some comedy, we need some witty banter on Foggy's part, and it doesn't fail to disappoint here.
Yeah, of course, Brett is somewhat. He's kind of the beat cop version of Jim Gordon in a way. He's kind of
in a way. I mean, I still consider. Oh gosh, Dragon, I forgot the name of the priest, but the main priest that Matt
Father Lapham.
Yeah, I consider him more the Gordon.
Yeah, we kind of have co-Gordons in a way. We have kind
of Gordon.
Gosh, Oldman and Cranston.
Oh no.
Oh, better yet, Simmons and Cranston, the best Gordon ever.
Oh my God. Okay.
He could look like he could be built like Simpson, but sound like Cranston.
Okay. We can go nuts with that, but
okay. But seriously, though, I've always liked Brett Mahoney. I like how he's been kind of seeded through each of the Netflix shows, with the exception of Luke Cage. But well, I mean, I don't know. I got to rewatch it. I really don't.
I'm pretty sure he pops up at least once in Luke Cage. I'm pretty sure.
You got to double check that. You might be right.
I'm not entirely sure. Like, don't quote me on it, but I want to say he shows up at least once.
I don't know. I guess we'll find
see.
out going
Yeah.
through it. Anyway, so again, I love that. It's not really a lot to say here with Brett because you're right. He serves kind of the exposition role. Later on, we're going to get more of the Gordon-esque thing where he's working with Daredevil in a way, like he puts his trust in Daredevil. But again, a good kind of build to that in this episode that he's putting trust in. He genuinely does trust Matt and Foggy, but of course he's doing it in a guarded way where he's letting him know, but if he's going to tell anyone, he'll tell these two guys because he knows they're responsible and they won't really stab him in the back with the sort of information he's giving them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's good. I like the idea that Foggy gave Brett's mother the cigars and everything. So they have like a long history with each other, and of course Matt's just kind of the more of the. If you notice, Matt's keeping his distance because he doesn't want, possibly because he doesn't want Brett to recognize that he's Daredevil in a way.
I mean, I would think that would be definitely part of the dynamic for sure.
You got to remember, Matt and Daredevil do have the same voice. It's just Daredevil's a little more of less words, unless he's really getting into it with one of our new characters this season.
Right.
So let's see. I'm sorry. Anything else, or should we move on?
No, let's continue.
Okay, let's talk about a thrilling dynamic. I love that it comes back just like it does in the comics, and I love that one of our really great dynamics. We got Daredevil and Turk Barrett.
I'm Turk Barrett. Oh God.
You're working. My name's not Turk Barrett.
I mean, what can we really say about this? Again, it's kind of like it's kind of the inverse on Brett Mahoney. It's like the one scene exposition dump kind of character with a really fun kind of banter. But on the criminal side of the spectrum.
Yeah. But what I love about Turk Bear, one, it's kind of the classic thing for Daredevil. He's like Daredevil's main source of information, kind of the small timer that Daredevil goes to, and he will beat the tar out of him, get some answers, and then he'll leave him for the cops, or better yet, he'll just leave him in a state of like this guy's not going to be in any trouble. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to point is Turk Bear is always up the trouble, and I like in the series they've kind of gone up and down the ladder. He's somewhat of a small timer, he's selling guns, which is a big deal. He's been trafficking women in the first season, which he deserved the beating he got, very much so. And I've always loved how they worked in Turk Bear. I love they keep him coming back as they should, because I've always been worried about if they kill Turk Bear, which thankfully so far they still haven't, which I'm very grateful for. I'm going to be really sad if they ever. So far, so good. And also, let me say this. Very technically, he's been in all Netflix shows. I say technically because he wasn't in the show. He wasn't in the season of Jessica Jones, but he's in the tie-in comic for Jessica Jones.
Well, that is definitely.
There was only one. It was only one issue, and I bring it up for the novelty. It was basically Jessica Jones was tracking down like one of Turk Barrett's baby mamas or something.
Okay.
To get like child support or something, and basically he Jessica Jones got to beat the tar out of Turk Barrett too. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Turk Barrett. Like I said, he's almost kind of like the criminal version of Coulson.
In a way, yes. And I would love it if they it makes me really wish that not just on the page, but in the show he was in Jessica Jones, because we could easily say he's been in all the Netflix shows. So it's like Claire Temple and Turk Barrett were in all the Netflix shows.
Right.
But, he could be an Iron Fist. He could be.
Oh, easily.
Let me play this. Let me say one more thing about Turk Barrett, and I'll play something there. So what I love about Daredevil and Turk's their dynamic here is that they really truly hate each other, but see each other. It's like you run across these guys like, oh, I have no respect for this guy on both ends. Like I have no respect for this guy whatsoever, but we see each other constantly. Like you keep bumping into the same guy you hate on the subway every day. That's sort of the dynamic they have. And I saved the best part of their scene there. Again, it's mostly an exposition dump about the cartel guys taking in the weaponry. Again, the power vacuum since Fisk has been in prison, and now it's like the cartel and the Dogs of Hell and the cartel and the Irish mob have been trying to get the territory back. So it's this really beautiful moment here between the two of them. It's really just classic Turk. It's like the perfect little punctuation to put on the scene. Sums up their dynamic. Yeah, that just sums up what I love about these two guys. And also, that was kind of a vague Luke Cage reference, a possible Luke Cage reference he just dropped there. He missed Hell's Kitchen, implying he was kind of doing things in Harlem for a while.
Oh yeah, okay, for sure.
Because this, we'll get into it more with Luke Cage. Let's just say a lot of. Again, I'm probably kind of jumping the gun a little
Luke
bit.
Cage and Daredevil season 2 kind of.
Yeah, they intersect.
Cross pollination with each other.
Yeah, I forget how exactly it breaks down. By the time we get to Luke Cage, we'll definitely reference it a little bit more, But anyway. So yeah, it's just again really great dynamic between those two. It's just fun. These two guys really just don't like each other. Daryl could have let him go, but he just throws the keys in the water or something, just leaves him and knocks him out.
Okay, so let's get to Karen and Grotto. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Karen and Grotto. This one, again, it's Karen being a strong, good, strong character, and again, she's really. I'm sorry, take us through, please.
Yeah, it's going to be a setup for how she deals with Frank Castle later on in the season, for sure. But I like how it's just kind of like her getting into the thick of the action. And she's willing to take these big risks, put herself on the line, much in the same way Matt is. So I think that's really good, a really good kind of contrast, even breaking down the Matt and Karen arc. But, Grotto, I don't know, the guy doesn't have much in terms of a character, and, except he's the surviving member of the of the Irish mob that gets brutally taken out, Dragon. I remember watching that scene for the first time when I was watching through this episode, on my initial sit through, and I was like stunned by how violent that got right off the bat. I thought that was kind of like a mission statement of like, oh, you thought season 2 was gritty? You haven't seen anything yet.
Oh yeah. But Grotto gets a little more development as it goes on. He'll get a little more development. And you're right, though. It is great foreshadow for how Karen's going to deal with Frank Castle. Mm-hmm. But also, I just love that, Karen demonstrates the Grotto in this episode. He's in good hands with her. And again, the clever Karen Page, who's also very likable. I love how Grotto's like, just not really paying her any not really paying her any terms of mind. He doesn't put any faith in her. But then she sells him like the whole. There's that great scene in the hospital. She throws that story at. And we're like, hey, look, you're in good hands. I gave you a fake name and everything, but she tells him this by telling him, like, you and I are married. and we're, she says, and I fell in love with your Irish somethingness. The point is like she goes to the whole thing of like laying out the cover story, just demonstrating that, hey, stupid, you're taken care of, all right? No one's looking for you.
But that's just a really, really clever thing for her to do. It just kind of goes to show how her character has evolved. It's definitely one of those things where we've had an influence from being around Matt, from being around Ben when he was alive,
Oh yeah, a lot of Ben Urich influence. I love that with the character. Definitely. A lot of Urich influencing, and Urich really did shape her for this season.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you want to move on to the
Yep.
How this episode dared to be different?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, first of all, like I just said, I probably should have saved it for here, but the violence is off the charts here. Especially that shootout towards the beginning. And I love how it's just like it's framed how there's nothing that contradicts the fact that it is one guy, but the way that it's shot, it just seems like it's coming from all angles. It feels like the ending of Scarface or something like that, with the hit on the Irish mob.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the most effective use of violence for me.
Okay, but more so, what I'm really impressed by is the fact that they killed if not the entire, then a very large section of the Irish mob in episode 1. We walk in with them, this grand entrance for the Irish mob. They're being all chummy with each other. They're having this really cool speech about what's laying some good pipe of like the history of Hell's Kitchen.
It's almost kind of Court of Owls-esque.
It is really cool, and we'll get into it more with like Rail Trail. I'll get into more of the specifics of what they say later, but yeah, it's like okay, the Irish mob's getting interesting, and then the minute that happens, they're all killed off in very brutal ways. I'm trying again. Bear in mind, I have to rewatch it. I can't remember who's going to accost a certain character later on, but I can't remember if it's the Irish mob or anything. But I assume there's some surviving members. I'm pretty sure it's the Irish mob. Mm-hmm. Anyway, point is again, just like a whole lot of your main bad guys just killed off in an instant.
yeah,
and not revealing who did it until the very end too.
And again, it's one of those things, Dragon. Let's kind of circle back around to this, the whole concept of Marvel's, loving to hide the villains in episode 1. They
Oh,
love
yeah.
to do that. Oh man,
Yes, they do.
it's just like yeah, like we all know you're excited for this villain, and don't worry, you'll see plenty of them. But you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to sit there and sit through a whole episode of just hyping this guy up before you get any action from him. And
who knows? Maybe he's not a villain. Maybe that's why it doesn't take 3 episodes to reveal him. Maybe.
Exactly. Right. But Frank Castle, he makes his grand entrance near the end of the episode. I'll get to that just a couple minutes from now, but just what a wonderful kind of build to him, though, where, like we said, we have the whole plot line of, okay, it looks like there's an army, like the force of an army that's taking out all these people and all these mobs. And in a way, it's less scary that it's one guy, but in a way, it's more scary that it's one guy.
How is that in any ways that less scary than it? Okay, it's one guy. No, that's 20 times more scary. We thought an army did this. One guy.
Well, I would just say it's less scary in terms of like, okay, there's at least like we don't have to deal like with a whole army of people. We just have to focus on this one guy. But this one guy is freaking terrifying.
Yeah. Speaking of build, I love the cinematic build to Daredevil, because let's just say I've seen a bunch of, of course, I'm caught up in all the superhero TV shows, but let's just say it doesn't play. They build the reveal to Daredevil as well in the beginning, which we'll get to in a moment. Where it's very done very cinematic, less like like in the course of a minute. Then we see our hero because we have to, because his name is on the show. I'm talking to you, Arrow. It's usually I'm looking at you, Queen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like usually like we'll build like, hey, we want to give Green Arrow a good entrance for the season. Like he throws an arrow, but then like, okay, 3 seconds goodbye. Dun, 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 and, we don't really build it like we do here. Feels very. I'm just saying that's not bad on Arrow. But I'm making a point. Is that's instantaneous. Like we have to see the guy. Here is like, okay, we're gonna make you want to see the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Acknowledging the money, the being very low on money, because it's a realistic, pragmatic thing that would happen.
Oh yeah. Kind of all the ramifications from Wilson Fisk, showing that taking down Fisk was not necessarily solving the problem at all, and kind of making the scale of what Daredevil has to deal with even grander.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The non-hostile love triangle, that's really good, because usually, again, I can tell you from experience, there's a lot of bad love triangles on TV.
Oh, I'm sure.
Let's see. Preventing. I love this is a beautiful scene. It's something you rarely see, Tiki. It's so good. We have that preventing the shootout at the bar. The scene where, oh my god, I love this. I love Daredevil using his abilities like this. He hears the heartbeat of Grotto at the bar, and he knows that he's holding a gun, so he thinks, okay, Grotto's gonna be trigger happy. And he points at the Foggy from this and saying, wait, Foggy, look at the guy in the bar. And again, I think it's Matt Foggy knows, okay, he's got a really good sight, so he can actually see this. It's a really cool scene. And then as Love walks over, he talks him out of it, and he just says, like, listen, man, you don't want to shoot up this place. It's a really great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Again, there were a lot of options for Blinding Moment of Awesome. Let me just say that much. So some of them found their way into Dare to be Different. Let me just say that much. Not having great scene. I'm sorry. You want to take us through if you have some clips to play with Dare to be Different?
Let's see with Dare to be Different. I mean, we've covered a lot of it, but I don't know. Like I said, it definitely ramps up the tension, ramps up the scale. We get kind of reintroduced to familiar characters for maybe some unconventional ways. So that's about all I got.
Well, let me say this again. Foggy, there's a really great scene with Foggy. I'm going to play it for you in 1 sec here, where basically I love that in this scene. Foggy goes to the Dogs of Hell. Again, this is kind of Foggy's kind of shining moment, where again he's been influenced by Daredevil. You have to assume is that he's trying to get some answers. He goes to the Dogs of Hell to ask about someone from a friend of a friend who he's helped out in the past, kind of knows about, who would be the connection to all this kind of this one man, basically all the Irish killings.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the Dogs of Hell to ask about this guy. He doesn't know that the guy's asking about is dead, which is a real sensitive matter to the Dogs of Hell. So they basically he's kind of dug himself into a grave, essentially, a very Breaking Bad situation where, okay, he's a dead man, he's a goner. Someone dug in the grave, he's going in there, or he he's basically kind of forced in there, and they say like he's offended them. And they tell him to take him out back and show him what we do to lawyers, which I could definitely see in Better Call Saul. Let's just say that much. Show him what we do to lawyers. And basically, he's out back. It looks like it's going to be curtains for Foggy. And here's how it would have gone any other superhero show, Tiki.
Mm-hmm.
It would have gone, Foggy goes out there, he's begging for his life, and then the hero swoops in and saves, Daredevil swoops in and saves him at the last minute. But they didn't go that way. And I love that they didn't go that way this way. They should, Foggy has been influenced by Matt. He's I love it's all charged by Hell's Kitchen, how he kind of talks his way out of it, how he kind of relates to the guy, tells him, I've helped out a Dogs of Hell patron before, I believe me, I'm not here just to rub it in that you've lost one. I didn't know that going into this. You got to believe me. And then it goes to this part here, which I'm going to play for you, where he just kind of really, it's really kind of, he bears his heart and soul, just like his hope in Hell's Kitchen in a way, because Foggy is kind of the champion through the show of like why Hell's Kitchen isn't beyond saving, especially in season 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go.
You're serious? I came here for a reason. I just need answers. Look, if I don't get answers, a lot of innocent blood can be shed. Both you and I care about are gonna get hurt, and you don't seem like the most sentimental guy. But you're still listening. And the knife isn't in my neck. So I have to believe that right now, maybe I heard this inside. God told me to do that. Columbia. Actually, it's not courage. It's more like sheer adrenaline. Look, I wouldn't be asking. I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't important.
Really good scene to start out the first episode on,
Yeah, like I said,
you
also, also to kind of end out Foggy's arc as well, kind of a good thesis statement for Foggy moving forward, like what his character is going to go down. Okay.
One last thing, faithfulness to the Punisher kills. There was really good faithfulness to like the brutality of Punisher's kills when we go to the meat locker, when we see like those guys with the
yeah, for sure,
with the metal spikes or whatever he used, like they kind of go, you know what I mean? Remember the shot where like, there's like a metal spike going through the guy's head? That's directly, those are Punisher kills, and also just.
And then Daredevil having to take the guy out of the metal spike that's lodged through his shoulder.
Yeah, basically he's hung on a meat hook. That's. But with that though, just that whole setting is pulled directly from a Punisher comic, I'm sure. Just like all those dead cartel guys just hanging on meat hooks.
And Dragon, I'm sorry, I have to go here. And then they turn the corner and they see Rocky Balboa, and he's just punching some meat, and he's like, "What are y'all doing in my meat locker?"
And then you have Marty McFly saying, "Hey, get your meat hooks off of me."
Congratulations, we just invented a Family Guy cutaway gag. I'm so proud. Okay.
It has your eyes.
Oh, God.
So.
Right. Speaking of eyes, do you want to go into the blinding moment of awesome?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I will go first, folks. Or wait, Dragon, do you want to go first since yours is chronological?
Well, I have a spare, so I'll go first. Okay.
Because I'm just saying, like, yours is basically the beginning and mine's basically the end. So.
Well, let me do my two because they go chronologically. All right. So
okay. Go ahead.
The main one I have here is I love the as I mentioned. I love the introduction to this episode. I love the very beginning of this episode, where it's one of my favorite things. I've mentioned like an old record. I love it when heroes save people. I get no pleasure more than seeing a hero save someone. Mainly when it's Batman. That's usually what I find most enjoyment there. But still, here with Daredevil, this is great. It's in a very kind of Batman-like fashion. It's like the scene from Dark Knight Returns in a way, and it's kind of odd because again, Daredevil started all the we don't get Dark Knight Returns without Daredevil. Miller's take on Daredevil. So. Mm-hmm. Possibly inspired by that. I don't know. My point is, I love it when Daredevil's just going around again. We don't see him save people until the last save. But one of my favorite ones is when he's basically, I believe we have three main saves. The first save is when he saves the life of a cop, where like they have these bank robbers that are some robbers of some variety. They're running. They're trying to escape. They're trying to go through like the buildings and stuff, like the shops and the kitchens of Hell's Kitchen, appropriately enough. And one of them he trips into a cop. I believe he either grabs the cop's gun or has his own gun, and he's about to waste the cop. And then Daredevil from an alleyway. We don't see him because again it's in shadow and darkness in an alleyway. He pulls him back, and he again feels like it's pulled directly from Dark Knight Returns. The more I talk about it, honestly, he from the shadows pulls the guy in. But really cool. And then my favorite one is just this bit where we don't see him, but basically goes like this. There's a guy who's about to be carjacked by one of these robbers. Basically, these three robbers, like this group of robbers, they split up, and they're responsible for each of these saves. So Daredevil's like foiling each of these guys to save people. And the moment goes a little something like this, where basically there's a guy about to be carjacked, and off screen, Daredevil, he just slams his head into the windshield and says this. Oh, sorry. What's so great about that too is that just shows you the kind of the difference there, like where Daredevil is kind of he's a representation of Hell's Kitchen. So he's going to tell people to do the morally responsible thing. Where he takes out the guy, then he tells him in kind of this calm, again, the cool Charlie Cox way of playing Daredevil. He tells him that in that voice, call 911. He's very calm, cool, and collected as he's doing it too. It's really awesome. then he's off, and of course it all builds like the great visuals of the church. Points that whole sequence, that great introduction. And of course, it all builds to this great moment. Like we
pan the smile moment.
Yes, we have the Coke and the smile moment. We're basically, again, this is to me is what's so beautiful. On the rewatch, I had so much more appreciation for this scene because this is the answer to the Kingpin question.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes up there, and it looks like, oh my God, he's actually doing it. He's changing the city. He's changing things, and we go up there and we see he's just full of a bunch of crime. He saved people, and no one's dead. And we go up there and we see that smile, like, yeah, I did it. Really nice, really nice. The other moment I gotta play because I didn't really get to mention there to be different. That's my own fault. I just wanted to space it out, so I put it here.
Sure.
It was my runner-up for Blinding Moment. I love the story that Matt lays out to Foggy about why he. Basically it's why Daredevil's necessary. It's a wonderful way of putting it in dialogue, and the fact that we don't see it.
I would say it's a good thesis statement for Matt's arc going forward, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very, very much so, absolutely. It was a little something like this. It's an excellent story. Again, we know how great Charlie Cox is when he's telling Daredevil stories. This time we didn't have a flashback. We didn't need one for how great this one was.
Yeah.
Last week, a client came to our office, S2E1. They were like in danger and no legal reversal. I remember. You recommended an excellent shelter for bad. Yeah, she tried. That night, her husband found out she wanted to leave it, and he followed her to the bus stop with a cup of beer and a butcher knife in his hand. He never told her that. I'm telling you now. Mr. Almeida walked out of his apartment with the intention to hack Mrs. Almeida into many bloody pieces. Sorry if I take over it. Guess what? It never happened. Instead, he woke up in a hospital, two broken arms, a strained safety pin to his chest, and she says, if I take a night off, people get hurt.
Oh, just that. It's a wonderful little monologue just to explain this is why we need Daredevil. It's just a wonderful little statement on that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like the mission statement for Daredevil. It's essentially like, you want to know why I'm needed? This is why I'm needed, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my blinding moment of Awesome Dragon is what I like to refer to as the Punisher Terminator entrance.
Can I build yours just for a second? I just want to play the little 10-second clip.
By all means.
So basically, as I mentioned earlier, so Foggy's getting down to business, finding out who is, and Matt then finds the specific thing, and then basically we cut to directly to Tiki's scene here. So it goes a little something like this. Cut to Frank Castle from behind. We don't see him. We don't get a really good look at him, but just from behind we have that De Niro-like hairstyle.
Oh, it's so De Niro-like. It's ridiculous. You're right.
It's so Taxi Driver De Niro-like. It's so like he's got kind of the shaven mohawk thing going on.
Yeah, okay. So then, like I said, man, this is definitely Terminator inspired, in my opinion, just because it very much calls back to the original Terminator in the police station. And Dragon, I gotta say, the original Terminator, still my favorite Terminator, as much as I like T2. Just the visceral experience of seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger is just this unstoppable killing machine, and we get the same thing here with the Terminator, with the Punisher, not the Terminator, the Punisher versus the Terminator. Dragon, how would that turn out?
Yeah, Punisher win. He win. He has a shot at it.
Okay, anyways.
He does. He has a shot. He's killed a whole bunch of stuff. I could cite how many things he's killed. You wouldn't believe me if I told you the things he's killed.
But regardless, it's just I love the intensity. I love how we're already set up earlier in the episode with Karen and Grotto waiting at the hospital. Like they think they're, they think they're in the clear, but then
Grotto's paranoid that someone's coming for him, and now he's proven right.
And then I just love the moment where Karen looks out and she sees Castle just walking towards her with a big machine gun, and it's just like, oh god, okay, gotta go.
No, it's not a machine gun. It's even better. I love it's like an old school, very Terminator-esque. You're absolutely right, Terminator thing. Because what I love,
he doesn't carry a launcher.
Well, no, not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he has a shot. It's a shotgun, but I love it's like a shotgun he's carrying under his sleeve or something. It's like you see it. Like Terminator, Terminator had like in the flower box. Remember, it had like sort of like he's carrying like a little box or something.
Gotcha.
So here, I just love it's obscure. The audience can see, and I love that there's a great bit that opens it when the guard, like the cop or the guard, whoever's in there, sees him, and then he pulls out the gun. Then Castle, because again, Castle's not killing innocent people. He just knocks the guy out viciously, and everyone's freaking out in the hospital. And then he dumps his gun into the garbage can. He puts the cop's gun in the garbage can.
Right. It's just a great moment of pandemonium as we're running through, and then of course, right, like I said, it just very much echoes the police station scene in Terminator, and then the scene that's really effective for me is when we get into Castle pursuing her and Grotto down the stairs. I think probably the scariest moment in the scene.
The shotgun shells, the beads of the shotgun, all the little separated shrapnel things of the shotgun.
Well, but I was just gonna say like the wall of the stairwell getting shot at.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the buckshot from the shotgun, like making it like just misses Karen like that, and she freaks out. Ah!
And Karen just, it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh God, okay, I am literally being shot at right now. Like if I don't get ahead of this guy, I'm going to die. And Dragon, one of the great things is that she borrows Ben Urich's car, which is a great callback.
It's really, why that moment's sweet, Tiki. It's really sweet because in some transcendental way, I guess Ben's saving your life there.
Of course, and it also recalls how close Ben was to the hospital because of his wife and everything.
Yeah.
So almost kind of reminds me of the Rocky chair thing a little bit, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Kind of raises the question. I guess she's left this car there for 8 months, but who cares?
Maybe it's a tribute. Maybe they're just like, well, let's leave it there.
No. I honestly, you know what I assumed? I assumed she drove it there to be inconspicuous, but that's a guess.
Right. Okay, so that is basically my moment right there. Is the whole chase, up until it's super suspenseful, of course, and then the Punisher is shooting at the windows and he's about to get a clear shot, but then Daredevil sweeps in, and it's all very kinetic, Dragon. I love how everything kind of ties into each other by the time the episode wraps up. And then, of course, we get the ending line. I believe you have it, if you want to.
Yes, I do. Goes a little something like this, and the two of them are fighting at the very end. Shoots our guy right in the head. Now, I want to talk about that for 1 second, Dick.
Okay.
I want your take on this. I think he recognizes that he has armor on before he shoots him in the head. What do you think?
I would say so too. I think that's a good point. Yeah,
because that was my one issue. But I easily when I had that rationale, I made it not a non-issue. But it was going through my head during that fight, like, oh man, he kind of takes a few shots at Daredevil. So I'm thinking initially it's reactionary, like, okay, someone's attacking me, I'm gonna try to kill him. Because it's not a cop. Like, he's like, I'm sort of like his soldier mentality of, okay, he fires a few shots, then he puts it together through the fight of like, okay, well, this guy, he's Daredevil, he's the guy everyone's going on about, so he's not exactly a guy on my radar, and I notice he's wearing armor, so I'm gonna shoot him in the head to take him out.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's all kind of good build up for an incredible dynamic we'll get with Frank and Daredevil in a future episode coming up very soon that I can't wait to talk about. But,
of course, I'm gonna rave back because it's they adapted one of my favorite things from the comics. In that, so.
Yeah, no doubt. So, all right. So I guess is that it with the blinding moments?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the Braille Trail. Yeah, let's follow the dotted bumps.
It's spelled right for this season, by the way. We fixed that.
Yeah,
I felt so embarrassed when I found that out. I felt so like, oh god, but it was so fun. Like Braille was spelled like trail. How cute was that? Well, live and learn. Season 2 we're trying to improve. Okay, so. Again, as I mentioned, Fisk's last words really shaped the opening.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of, it's essentially like a roadmap of, oh, you think it was hard taking me out? Well, you haven't seen anything yet, pal. Like, we're gonna, like, shit is coming down on you that you aren't even gonna be prepared for.
Yeah.
Let's see. Definitely some good stepping stones for Foggy and Karen on their own individual arcs. Like we said, Karen dealing with Grotto is a good foreshadowing to how she'll handle Frank in the future.
Oh yeah.
And I got to say, the Frank and Karen scenes are some of my favorite stuff in the whole season. So,
I love as you mentioned, you had a really on the nose parallel with the Core of As, which you're kind of right though. We get some really good backstory scene in that little speech they have. Little like they're having their little meeting, and basically here's what we learn, and there's some good background that is going to connect to some things. I think it's basically mentioned that the Irish mob were the old school pillar of corruption in Hell's Kitchen.
Right.
Now, whether that means they were the original crime thing that basically they owned the Hell's Kitchen. I know the Irish were a big pillar in the actual Hell's Kitchen. I know that much. Question of if that's if they were like there from the very beginning, like Court of Owls-esque, or if it was just basically they came over and then they kind of took over and they started bribing the cops and everything, the judges and everything, and then that's how they really cemented their power. And then you have guys like Fisk and Rigoletto. I presume Rigoletto then Fisk, because Rigoletto is another. I really want to see. Maybe in flashback in like future seasons, like talk about Rigoletto, because we kind of hinted to him in season 1 with how Bill Fisk owed Rigoletto money.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Anyway, my point is, the Irish were the original pillar there, and also this might connect to another thing this season. We got to keep an eye out for. Roscoe Sweeney. Roscoe Sweeney was the man who killed Jack Murdoch.
Right, and of course we'll get a payback to that.
Yeah.
When we move
and
forward.
If I'm pretty sure he was a member of the Irish. I want to say he's a member of the Irish mob. So again, it's kind of connecting things a little bit.
Oh, that's a good point. All right.
The point is, Roscoe. Let's see. So
we'll probably have to check back on that for sure when we get to the episode revolving around him to confirm that. But
so Fisk took over when they were complacent. The Irish got complacent at the height of their power, and that might be a little foreshadow for later on. It's being complacent at the height of power. Daredevil was a little complacent in the beginning. They're like, "Hey, I'm doing good right now," and then all the bad stuff happens.
And of course, it seems like all the Yakuza is gone for the moment, and maybe that won't be that way for long, potentially.
Sure. Let's see.
Barrett kind of setting up Luke Cage a little bit, perhaps.
Sure, but also Turk Barrett, we know he's going to come back this season as well. We're going to find it's more transient. It's going to be more connected to Luke Cage, but we'll see later on. Let's see. Matt and Karen's chemistry, that's definitely going to come back. And it's in its infancy here. It's really heat up and get really all nice and romantic later on. Nelson Murdoch in Financial Crisis, that's going to come back.
Mm. Basically, just kind of a standard episode 1 of a season. Just kind of setting up the plot threads that will kind of weave throughout.
Oh yeah, a heat wave in Hell's Kitchen opening us up here. We're starting with a heat wave in Hell's Kitchen.
Sure. Also starting with the radio too, which is going to be an important device of. I don't want to say a plot device. It's more of a storytelling device.
Yeah.
Of course, that'll lead us into a Jessica Jones cameo coming up.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, and more so with another Marvel Netflix. More of a Luke Cage, but yeah.
No, I'm saying with the radio, specifically what they do with the radio with a Jessica Jones character.
Right, certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nelson and Murdoch are helping Grotto, and that's going to come back. Grotto's going to kind of
He's basically like, hey, I'm your training wheels for dealing with Frank Castle.
But also, let's just say Grotto is going to be really it's going to put Nelson Murdock in the crosshairs of some other stuff. Basically, it's going to put him in the crosshairs, no pun intended, with the Punisher story.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. There's a reference to the DA, to Samantha Reyes. They don't give her by name, but we're going to find out Samantha Reyes. The point is the DA is being referenced and really wants this new player caught. And we met Samantha Reyes in Jessica at the ending of Jessica Jones, by the way.
Right.
Just to point her out there, she's kind of the no nonsense, like the one who gives Jerry Hogarth a run for her money, and kind of the Skylar White of this season.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Dogs of Hell, the Irish, and the cartels are being targeted. That's going to definitely pay off, and we're going to find out why they're being targeted down the line.
Sure.
Daredevil's earning points with the cops.
And, setting up Frank Castle and the Punisher and everything in a very good, very patient, deliberate kind of way, which they've done with all the Marvel ones. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, sorry, I was just saying Daredevil's scoring points with the cops, as you're going to see more so Mahoney later on. I mentioned the gifts in the pro bono cases, which is directly pulled from the comics in the Daredevil movie. So that's we're definitely seeing that here. Last big thing I got, unless you got anything else.
No.
Well, again, it's more direct thing than big. It's okay. Well, Daredevil did take a headshot. We're going to see the aftermath of that in the next episode. He's going to be in really bad shape next episode after taking that headshot.
Which will pretty much lead into the next couple episodes, actually, of Daredevil kind of being in a weakened state. So.
Sure, but definitely we're going to direct aftermath in the next one. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, so finally, without further ado, let's break out the eel bottle and talk about the Nelson Murdock verdict.
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Very good start to season 1 or season 2, not season 1. What am I saying? Ugh. Very good start to season 2. All the dynamics are kind of established and up and running. We get some interesting new developments here and there. The financial crisis that Matt Murdock is in versus, how Daredevil seems to be working out really well, at least for the time being. It's a good ramping up of the stakes. There's some really visceral violence in here that, like I said, as someone who watches it for the first time, I very much think it's a good kind of indicator of where the season is headed in terms of tone. I don't love this season. Just overall, I want to say that. I do think it's probably my least. It's good. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I don't think it comes together all that well. But having said that, Dragon, I am very excited to talk about, at the very least, everything up through episode 9 for sure. So it's after 9 where things get a little wonky for me. But the first 9 episodes are definitely solid, and I can't wait to go and revisit them. And who knows, maybe I'll like the last part of the season a little bit more as well. So. All right, but yeah, like I said, just very, very solid start. Really good stuff. Really good introduction to the Punisher, and can't wait to keep revisiting it, especially episode 3, which I'm stoked to talk about.
So. Oh yeah, episode 3's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Overall, this episode was a great slow build and setup for season 2. It's a great kind of like we got season 1, only didn't have as awesome kind of it had an awesome ending in it. We're going to directly tie into who our big character this season versus we're going to tie into all the criminal organizations that was how the first one ended.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is we have a good slow build and setup for season 2. Let's see. We're showing Daredevil making a difference with a foreboding tone of again Punisher's in the mix now, so he's trying to make a difference, but then kind of this big kind of rock gets thrown in the mechanism of oh god, now things are gonna get complicated. So I love this season 1. I know I'm kind of getting the more broad spectrum thing, but just season 1's all about kind of our good and evil's clear, but we root for the evil as well as we root for the good.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
2 is predicated on we don't know where that line is anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That is a good kind of thesis statement to have moving forward when rewatching this. Okay, I'm glad you put that out there.
Now let's just say all of that. Again, all of this is really kind of put into play in this episode. It's a really good start. It's kind of fun to get re-immersed in the world again, and it's again the ending is just there's nothing compares to that great. The pursuit of the ending, and then of course it all ends on the title of the episode. Mm-hmm. Bang.
And like we said, kind of the one time we actually hear Frank Castle speak, and it's a great payoff.
Oh, it's a great introduction.
Right, so that's it. So that's all for now, folks. Until next time when we return for another daring installment of Discerning Daredevil. Excelsior!
Enough said.
Come on, D!